Hello, Home Slices. It's Kiara with Home Slice Adulting coming to you with my review for Iyanla Fix My Life, Season 8, Episode 4, entitled Taking Care of Business. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and to share this with somebody who you think will enjoy it. So, just FYI, today I'm coming to you all with some multitasking, flow, because I have a lot of stuff to do today, and, why do just one thing when you can get two things done? So, I'm taking down half of my braids so I can wash my hair and redo them. These are yarn braids. Yes, this is yarn that you buy at like a craft store. It is cheap. They are effective. They are, the yarn looks closer to Afro textured hair than the hair that you get at the beauty supply store. And it's easy to cut into the length you want. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube about how to do these, and they're fairly simple, and they give you more of a uniform looking braid. So yeah, I like doing yarn braids. I'm trying to protect my hair up until the time I get married, because I wanted to have some extra length on my already long natural hair for my dramatic wedding look. So this was my, easy solution. So yeah, and I already have a bunch of yarn cut up so that when it's time to redo these, that's already ready to go. So yeah, so if y'all see like some flakes and stuff in there, please excuse me, because it's time for me to wash my hair and get all this stuff out of here. So anyways, let's get into what this episode was about. We have Iyanla with 4 women: Shanika, Tracy, Crystal, and Erin. These are all women who are in the entertainment industry. One of them is a publicist. I think the other 3 are radio personalities. I remember Tracy from one season of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I never really cared for Tracy on that show. She was a little different here, so she was all right. But we have all these women who, they came for what they thought was going to be a relationship rehab, I guess. They all have gotten into relationships with men that were not fruitful, that, they were not fulfilled in, and they're trying to figure out why. And one of the things that I like, one of the major things about this particular episode is that Iyanla is saying, stop worrying about your relationship with men. Okay, this is about your relationship with you. And once you clean that up, then you can be in a relationship with somebody else. So that's one thing that I liked about where Iyanla took this episode, because these women thought that they were coming to figure out, hey, what's wrong with me and why can't I find a relationship with a man? And that's kind of one of the fallacies of growing up in a male-dominated society, is this idea that who we are and our value is wrapped up in how we attract the opposite sex or how we interact with the opposite sex. And it's like, what about the way that you interact with yourself, or you interact with fellow women, or the relationship that you have with your mom, or whatever? I mean, I feel like women have so much more to offer than who and what they can be for a man. So I like the route that Iyanla took on this particular episode. So we have Shanika, who is very closed off and has a wall up. She has we'll call them like an alter ego, called Janet, which is represented by a short blue wig. And then we have Tracy, who is a fighter. She has a long, flowy blonde wig that she names Marcia. It's her alter ego. We have Crystal, who is divorced and perpetually single. She has a wig named Bertha. And I can't remember what Bertha looks like. But lastly, we have Erin, who is the youngest. And I'm under the impression that if Tamar Braxton didn't get so much plastic surgery, she would look like Erin. She looks like Tamar Braxton to me. But anyways, she has a wig named Des, who is a short redhead wig. So Iyanla has chosen these wigs as and these kind of personas of like, what was it, boss lady and power broker, and I think there was one more, for them to basically, these are the type of facades that they wear. And these facades have not been serving them in their relationships. And later on, Iyanla goes to say, like, when you wear this facade and when you allow this alter ego, or whoever this wig is, right? Whoever, when you allow Janet, Marcia, Bertha, and Des to rule your life, the people that are attracted to you are actually attracted to your alter ego. And your alter ego is not you. So you're not even presenting a real version of yourself for somebody to actually know you for you. Because over time, if you really want to be in a relationship with somebody, you have to shed that alter ego in order to show them who you really are. And that's not what they signed up for, to be honest. So that's part of what I got from it. So we find out that these women have issues with their moms. They have really deep-seated issues with their moms. None of them had good relationships with their moms per se. Some of them felt like they had to take care of their moms and protect their moms when it's kind of the other way around. The others didn't really have a relationship at all because they either didn't feel protected or Erin was very cryptic about her mom's situation, but she was saying that her mom was 15 when she had her and they kind of grew up together, and Erin told her, you need to get yourself together, and her mom didn't want to hear it. So she hasn't been communicating with her mom. And none of them seem to necessarily have had a constant father figure in their lives either. So there's that. They talk about this idea of being the caretaker and caregiver. And that's one thing that I think about in my life and that I consistently strive not to be. And when I say that, I mean, there's this black lady superwoman myth. And when I think about that, I think about Big Mama from Soul Food, right? There's Big Mama from Soul Food who loves cooking for her family, who husband has died a long time ago, and she has diabetes. And she's taking care of her brother who is shut in his room, right? She's taking care of all the family on Sunday dinners, right? She knows when everybody's getting pregnant and has dreams about fish, and then her diabetes gets so bad because nobody, she's not taking care of herself that she has to get her foot amputated, and then she ends up dying and leaves the family in shambles, basically. And when I think about that version of Big Mama and how that relates to so many Black families, I feel like I don't want to be that way, because I want to have something for myself. Like when I think about the superwoman, this Black superwoman myth, it's about a woman who's always giving of herself. She's very altruistic. She's so selfless, and she will sacrifice other people's needs over her own. And I am not here for that. You hear me? I actually have a grandmother who is alive who has modeled for me how to take care of yourself, love yourself, and do what you want, and then extend that to your family. And that's the type of person that I want to be. I want to be the person who, I'll take my grandkids on a trip and then send them back with their kids. Yeah, if you need help with something, sure, I'll send you some money. But I'm still gonna be out here living my life. If you want to send the kids for a week, or if you want me to fly out for Christmas, sure. But I still want to have my life and be independent. And if I choose to date or whatever I choose to do, that's what I'm going to do. And just the creation of boundaries, right? And the creation of a life that it does not revolve around and not finding the whole part of my value in being able to help others and be available to others and having my own life. So, anyways, that's just my personal, thoughts and my personal journey or whatever. So anyways, one of the other things that comes up is about being a caretaker or a caregiver. And Iyanla asked Shanika to ask herself, who am I when I sacrifice myself for other people? And that was one of Shanika's, bigger problems, is that she felt like her value was all about what she could do for other people. And she wasn't really getting anything in return, and she wasn't necessarily making it a requirement that she got anything in return, and was saying that people were like indignant whenever she asked for anything in return. And it's like, you have to get to the point where you realize that you are more valuable than what you can do for somebody, because you can do everything for anybody, give them everything that they want, monetary, time, whatever it is that they want and they desire, and they still will not value you and give you the things that you need as a human being who is in need of love and affection and touch and all of that. So anyways, moving on. So we also talk about emotional violence, withholding communication about big things that happen in your life. She mentioned this when Tracy had, was it Tracy, had never talked about the fact that her mother's husband had left their lives kind of without a trace, and that Tracy had never even considered that her mom experienced any negative feelings or any guilt around choosing a man that would just up and leave her and her children. And that was another theme throughout this episode that was really interesting, because I feel like, I know that I am guilty of like judging my mother for decisions and things that she has made. And I don't want to be that way, because I know what, at least a fraction of what my mother went through as a child, and how she was raised. And I use the word raised loosely. Because for the most part, from what I can gather, she just kind of grew up, and she did not have adults there that were modeling good behavior. She did not have adults that truly cared for her. And she did the best that she could with what she had. And I don't want to be judgmental of her. So I get, that was a big part of the message that I got from this. But another message is that like the alter ego is a defense mechanism, it's a coping mechanism, and it allows you to create distractions. And when you're distracted, you can't work on yourself. You find other things to concentrate on, like work, or you find other people to blame, like the men in your life. And so Iyanla talked about being controlling versus being in control. There was a lot of talk about ignoring red flags. And that's the thing about like dishonoring yourself and not trusting yourself, not valuing yourself, is that you see this red flag. When Erin was talking about the fact that she caught the last man she was dating with in a lie, and how they moved in together, and he would kick her out and welcome her back in over and over again. And it's like, that's absolutely a red flag. And you really have to value yourself to like see those red flags and get out as soon as possible. Because she said that she believes that she ignored that red flag because she wanted stability. And it's like, how messed up is it that you mistake drama for stability? There's nothing stable about making somebody mad and they kick you out. And then when they feel like it, they invite you back in. There's nothing stable about that. I don't think just because it's a cycle doesn't mean it's stable. When I think about stable and stability, I think about being on solid ground. And a cycle of being kicked out and invited back into a house, it doesn't seem like stability to me. So a lot of it is just calibrating our expectations and not ignoring red flags, and figuring out, okay, this isn't normal. This isn't healthy. This doesn't feel good. I'm out. But moving on, we have another thing that came into play a lot is having women in male-dominated workspaces, such as the entertainment industry, which is where all of these women work. And additionally, we live in a male-dominated society. So when we are in these workspaces that are male-dominated, when we are in the society that values male or masculine values, or stereotypically masculine values, women are taught to kind of betray themselves, betray what makes them women in order to work in these industries and survive in the world. And we're taught that um, the things that we are socialized to do or be, such as being more emotional or more nurturing or whatever it is, that those things are not good, and that those things in the workplace are inappropriate. So, one thing Iyanla said was like, we're taught to be men in skirts. And it's like, there is value in feminine qualities. There's value in the workplace. There's value in spiritual spaces. There's value in society in general. There's value in media. There's value in politics for people who actually have care and who show their emotions and who can have compassion. There's a space for that. And by falling into these masculine type qualities, we take away the power of what it means to be a woman and what it means to be feminine. So that's what I gathered from that. The other thing that really struck me, not so much for me personally, but I thought was a really good point, is that Iyanla was basically saying, you all's lights are so dim that when you invite a man into your life, he follows your light. And then you get mad at him because he's following your light instead of upping your wattage. And I think that's a big thing. Like, all of us who go about life, who have connections with people, we give off certain energies. And if a low wattage bulb attracts a moth and only gives off a little bit of light, there's only so far this person can go with this little amount of light in your life. And it's like, when you have a brighter bulb, when you have higher wattage, you attract people who can handle that and whose energy matches yours. Or if people come to you and their energy or their wattage doesn't match yours, the situation is illuminated enough for you to say, no, you're not on my level with the wattage, so you and I can't be together. So to me, that was about elevating yourself, elevating your mind, being clear about who you are and what you want. And that will either attract the right people to you or give you enough knowledge and light to know that a person who comes into your life is not right for you. So that's where what I got from that, and I thought that was a good point. Also, there was a lot of stuff about proving that you can do certain things. Like for Crystal in particular, a lot of what she was saying was about proving people wrong or proving her worth. And I know that Tracy talked a lot about self-sabotage, and that's something that I was very guilty of. Very guilty of sabotaging myself in those moments where things felt too good to be true, right? And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to screw this up because I don't deserve this, or it's going to get screwed up anyway, or the crap is going to hit the fan and I am going to turn the fan on. Like, if anybody's going to mess this up, it's going to be me, because I don't want to be proved wrong. I don't want to have to hear anyone say, I told you so, or to hear myself say, I told you you shouldn't have trusted this person. And that way I ended on my terms, as opposed to it, coming out and surprising me. Right. So, I dealt with that a lot. One of the other things that all the ladies seem to kind of identify with is like, when they get feedback from the men in their lives, their significant others, they don't respect the feedback because they don't respect the leadership of the man that they're with. And Iyanla said something really interesting. Like, if you know that this is not the type of person that you respect or their type of leadership, why would you sleep with him? And that's another thing that I think about. People trivialize relationships, whether that be relationships and connections, whether that be sexual or companionship or otherwise or whatever. And it's like, if you are the type of person that I don't want to be with, that I don't want around my children, that I don't respect your opinion, that I don't think you and I are on the same level, then ideally I wouldn't sleep with you or deal with you at all, right? Because at the end of the day, me being connected to you in this small manner can always snowball and get bigger, right? So there's the idea that, okay, I don't like this guy. He doesn't have a job. He's not doing anything with his life, but I'm going to sleep with him to fulfill a sexual need that I have. Next thing you know, I'm pregnant. And now this guy that I don't respect, that I don't value, that doesn't have the financial backing to help me raise a child is now going to be a part of my life forever. And it's like, it's important for us to really curate the type of relationships that we have with people, and that we don't just use people in the moment. And that's something else that she brought up in saying, people come into your life to get their needs met. And it's not personal. You're just the person who it was at the time. And it's like, you need to figure out what your needs are. And if your need and your true desire for your life is for you to be in a fruitful relationship, to be with someone who you value and who you respect, then you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're wasting your time being with somebody who doesn't fulfill that need for you. I thought that was a really good point, and I didn't want that to be lost or whatever. Iyanla talked about not being enough or not being good enough. She also talked about connecting with other women. And I think that the whole women are catty situation is something that's constructed by men to keep women from allowing each other to be successful. It's like the same way that colorism is rooted in white people. Like colorism is about white people feeling better or more comfortable around lighter skinned people because they are closer to whiteness, right? And it's a something that was a construct that was designed to divide people of color, and it worked, right? For me, I think that this idea that women are catty and that women can't work together and that women will always go for each other's throats is something that was designed by men so that they can stop other women from being successful. This idea that there could only be one woman in hip hop at a time. Like for the longest time, Missy Elliott was really the only rapper who could get a lot of traction. When you think about Nicki Minaj, she had the rap game on lock for like 10 years. And nobody else could really break in. And thank goodness that's changing now because women are deciding to work together. But it has to be this active denouncement and rejection of the idea that women are catty and women don't want other women to succeed. It has to be this deprogramming from this myth that was created to keep women from allowing each other to succeed. So hopefully these women will be more connected after this experience. We talk about sexual assault, which is a subject of almost every Iyanla Fix My Life. I would venture to say that probably 80% of all of the Iyanla Fix My Life episodes have something to do with sexual assault. Probably 80%. It's a big issue, and Shanika dealt with it particularly. She had multiple instances of sexual assault in her childhood, and she felt like she had to protect her mother. And that informs her relationship with her mother today. We see there was an interesting part that Iyanla brought up with Tracy when she said, cancel your contract with your mom. And I think that's something that's actually very hard. And I think what she meant by that, what I gather from that is that I reserve the right, or, as people, we reserve the right to be in relationship with others based on what works or what's good or what's healthy, rather. And if you being in relationship with your mother in a specific way is not healthy, cancel your contract and change the way that you interact, change the way that you connect with this person, and move on with your life. And Tracy seemed to have a hard time with saying, like, I'm on this journey, but that doesn't mean my mother is. What does that mean? And I think it just means change the way you respond. I think that's what Iyanla said. But moving on, one of the other things that Iyanla said that I thought was really good, she says, as queens, we run around and instead of finding the king, we find the carriage driver. And the reason why we find the carriage driver is because we want to retain control in the situation. And I was like, I thought that was really good. And it's like, instead of looking for a king, we find the carriage driver, we find the dressmaker, we find all these other people in our lives so that we don't have to give up control or we don't have to be vulnerable or whatever. And if you want to get your king, you have to kind of relinquish control. If that's, you know, the type of relationship you want, which it kind of seems that these women do want. So I thought that was really good. One other thing she said that I liked, she said, get your lesson and move on. Don't buy stock, don't buy a condo, get your lesson and move on with your life, which I thought was really good. And it's something that I actually practice in my life. And I really am on a path of like self-improvement and all that type of stuff. So for me, I was like, that's a good way to put it. I don't like to stay in the same place. Or do, you know, make the same mistakes over and over again. So for the most part, in a lot of areas of my life, I get the lesson and move on. So I thought that was good. She also talked about creating a guidance committee, and she showed this little flip book of you know, people like Jesus and Harriet Tubman, people that she looks to model good behavior. And I thought that was really interesting because when it came to relationships in particular, it didn't seem like any of the women had anyone to kind of model themselves after. So I think it's good to draw from other people's experiences and find people that you admire, and, you know, see what you can learn from them. And then she does this, 'cause we are sisters moment where she has them recite lyrics at the end of the show. I pray for you, you pray for me. I love you, I need you to survive. She basically has them recite that song. And at the end, she gives them new identities. Shanique is the mentor, Tracy's the warrior, Crystal's the healer, and Erin is the princess. And so I thought this was a good episode. I thought it was one of those episodes that, because there were so many people on here, so many different guests on the show, that any Black woman watching this show could identify with a piece of somebody. And this is what I like about Iyanla, is that I don't necessarily identify with any of these ladies. I've been in a great and healthy relationship with my fiance for over 6 years now, and we're getting married in October. And that's not to say that our relationship is perfect, but we are working at things every day, and we're improving and we're growing, and we're doing premarital counseling, and we're learning things about each other still. And I know that God, you know, made us for each other and that we were supposed to be together. So I don't have the relationship issues per se that these women have. But there were little pieces and nuggets that I could take away. So that's one of the things that I'm really going to miss about Iyanla, is that no matter who's a guest on the show, no matter what their experience is, I always get like a little jewel or a gem for myself. So I'm really going to miss that. But thanks you all for watching this video. It's already too long. Thanks for watching me do my hair. I am going to post this as soon as I can. And thanks for watching. Peace out, home slices.